King Charles might have stepped out onto Windsor's grand forecourt with the pomp and dignity of a monarch welcoming a foreign head of state, but there was something else that caught the crowd's eye first, quite literally. As cameras zoomed in on the king's familiar face, royal watchers across Britain and far beyond couldn't help but zero in on a striking detail: his right eye, startlingly bloodshot, the bright red splash set against the whites of his gaze. For a moment, it overshadowed the glittering ceremonial welcome for French President Emmanuel Macron. And just like that, a 3-day state visit designed to showcase diplomacy, unity, and strength instead kicked off with whispers of concern for the king's health. Was this a new sign of trouble for the 76-year-old monarch, already waging a very public battle with cancer? It didn't take long for social media to erupt. Photos of Charles's noticeably reddened eye zipped around Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, accompanied by breathless comments. "Is the king okay?" asked one worried post that quickly racked up thousands of likes. Others weren't so kind. Some speculated wildly, tossing around theories ranging from stress and hypertension to dire rumors of his treatment failing. The atmosphere turned anxious in record time. And who could blame the public for spiraling a bit? It hasn't exactly been an easy year for the House of Windsor. Charles's own cancer diagnosis stunned the nation only months ago, hot on the heels of Catherine, Princess of Wales, revealing her own serious health struggles. The two most senior figures in the royal pecking order have been visibly fragile, and people are watching their every public appearance with eagle eyes, searching for hope, or else bracing for bad news. So when Charles showed up with a glaringly bloodshot eye at one of the most high-profile diplomatic events of the year, nerves frayed fast. The last thing Buckingham Palace needed was another media storm, complete with ominous front pages and grim speculation from so-called body language experts who love nothing more than dissecting every royal frown and flutter. But this time, the palace moved with impressive speed, a far cry from the stiff-lipped days of never complain, never explain. Within hours of the images going viral, a palace spokesperson issued a rare, candid statement addressing the king's appearance head-on. It was nothing serious, they said. The king had simply suffered a minor burst blood vessel in his eye. Medically speaking, a subconjunctival hemorrhage. The aide made sure to hammer home the key point: this was in no way connected to his ongoing cancer treatment. No new concerns, no reason to panic. Just a small, harmless mishap, the sort of thing that can happen after a forceful cough or even a sneeze. For the public, it was a reassuring moment. A glimpse of a more modern monarchy that understands how easily anxiety can spiral in today's 24/7 news cycle. Instead of letting rumors fester for days, they cut it off at the root, offering calm, clear information. And perhaps learning from past royal media disasters, think back to the chilly silence surrounding the late Queen's last illnesses, or even the confusion that once surrounded Princess Diana's hospitalizations. If anything, the quick explanation actually cast Charles in a sympathetic light. Here was a monarch still in the midst of cancer treatment, who could have easily deferred some duties or bowed out of the public eye for a moment of rest. Instead, he showed up, burst vessel and all, to lead the welcome with Queen Camilla at his side. Together they greeted President Macron and his wife Brigitte with warm handshakes and gracious smiles, the pomp of mounted guards and waving flags swirling around them. Observers noted that while the king's eye was certainly eye-catching, no pun intended, his overall demeanor was upbeat. He laughed with aides, exchanged pleasantries with the French delegation, and moved through the ceremony with his usual disciplined poise. By the afternoon, the royal optics machine was back on track, focusing headlines on the significance of Franco-British ties rather than on ominous speculation about the king's health. And really, that's exactly how Charles wanted it. Still, there's no denying that even minor health blips hit differently now. Not just for Charles, but for the entire royal brand. With both the King and the Princess of Wales in treatment, the House of Windsor has never looked more vulnerable. And while palace aides did their best to keep things calm, pointing out how common these eye bursts are and emphasizing they usually heal on their own, plenty of people couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. After all, the public has been through a lot lately. Watching Charles ascend to the throne was already emotionally loaded, given it followed the loss of Queen Elizabeth II, whose robust decades on the throne made her seem nearly immortal. Seeing Charles now, thinner and sometimes appearing a bit frail, drives home the reality that this new era is precarious. That the monarchy's most senior faces are very human, very mortal, and very much under a harsh spotlight. But if there was ever a moment to prove the king's mettle, this was it. He didn't let the visible injury slow him down. No special accommodations, no toned-down schedule. That very evening, Charles and Camilla hosted President Macron at a glittering state banquet inside Windsor Castle's opulent St. George's Hall, all soaring ceilings, candlelight, and historic tapestries. Guests reported the king was in excellent spirits, delivering his toast with steady hands and making a few light jokes that had the room chuckling. It was a carefully choreographed statement without words. Yes, the king may have a vivid burst vessel, and yes, he is still undergoing cancer treatments, but he remains firmly in command of his royal role. And honestly, that small but striking contrast, the bloodshot eye paired with unwavering duty, might have done more to humanize and endear him to the public than 1,000 polished press releases ever could. Meanwhile, the palace's handling of the mini-crisis drew praise even from seasoned royal watchers. Here was Buckingham Palace not hiding behind no comment, but instead choosing speed and transparency. They acknowledged the concern, provided facts, and let the king's actions do the rest. It was also a bit of a masterclass in modern damage control. Because let's be honest, without that swift statement, we'd likely be knee-deep in breathless tabloid pieces speculating about strokes, blood pressure crises, or dire cancer relapses. Instead, the story was neatly wrapped up, refocused on the royal-hosted Franco-British alliance, and Charles got to show off exactly what he wanted: resilience, composure, and that famously unflappable Windsor sense of duty. So, where does this leave us? For many, the sight of a visibly flawed king bravely soldiering on was strangely comforting. It reminded people that beneath the crowns and carriages, there's still an aging father and grandfather doing his best to juggle national symbolism with personal vulnerability. It's messy. It's human. And in an odd way, it makes the institution feel just a touch more relatable. That said, don't expect the royal watchers to ease up anytime soon. Every future appearance will still be scanned in microscopic detail. Every cough, every pallor, every hint of fatigue will be discussed, dissected, and sometimes cruelly sensationalized. Because that's the double-edged sword of royalty. The power of tradition and glamour also comes with relentless scrutiny, the kind that never truly turns off. So what about you? Did seeing the king's bloodshot eye amid all that regal splendor change how you feel about him? Does it make you more sympathetic, or more worried about what lies ahead for the monarchy? Drop your thoughts below. We love hearing your takes, and you all keep this royal conversation alive. And if you want more inside looks at the drama, resilience, and humanity playing out behind palace walls, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Because trust us, in the world of crowns and secrets, there's always another chapter just around the corner.